I was thinking about bringing the champagne glasses, but I didn't know how to hand you one. Today, I think we are witnessing the end of Tesla Q. We'll talk about what is Tesla Q got left. We'll talk about why we had such success today. Why did we get back to all-time highs and then some? We'll potentially, you both of us have had some pretty good success recently on predicting the future, and we'll see if we can convince Nicholas to predict some more of the future. Anyway, for those of you who are new to our Tuesday night show, my co-host is Nicholas Gibbs, and he's a genius at options and quite good at analyzing various events and predicting outcomes. I didn't say a genius at analyzing various events. I'm sorry. I could go back and rewrite that if you want.
No, you're good. You're good. I
All
appreciate
right.
all the hyperbole.
All the hyperbole. So last week you said that Tesla was ready for a breakout to the upside. So you get the big win on that one, and then you think we got plenty of room to run. Do we have to take a retracement here, or what happens next?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, first of all, I'll say, start of the year, I said that Tesla would end at all-time highs, and here we are. I mean, it's
Here we
it's
are.
pretty close to the end of the year as you can get. Um, yeah, it's a good question. Where do we go from here, right? You can see there's a little bit of a pullback. I mean, the whole market's kind of pulling back right now in after hours,
Right.
but I do think there are still there's a little more juice, I think, to the upside right now
Okay.
for Tesla. Next couple days, over the next several weeks, I think there's still a lot more upside. But to answer your broader question, I do think over the next few months we're going to see a pullback. I think we'll have to. It's only normal, but I think we're going to head to 500, 520 is what I think will happen. Now there's, from now to end of the year, I don't know what happens. I wouldn't be shocked if we, get right at 500 and then reject pretty hard.
Mhm.
It's kind of par for the course. Just big numbers, stock market,
Right.
it's just
Round
one of those
numbers.
things, psychological. Yeah. Why? I don't know. It just
Yeah.
is. Um, but
Because we're human. Because we're
yeah,
human, man.
but I'll say like between now and January 2nd, there's really nothing other than potential upside. We got through the jobs numbers today, so that's good. We don't have any earnings or anything like that for Tesla. We don't have any bad news we're expecting, between now and the end of the year. So really, it's only upside because there could be really positive news about rolling out unsupervised in Austin, and we see what happens with just two cars of them testing. So what happens when Austin goes actually driverless? So that'll be exciting. But I will warn, is that the right word? I'll caution. That's the right word. I'll caution. And again, for long term buy and hold, it's irrelevant really,
Yeah.
because you're gonna long term buy and hold no matter what. But you're also still human, and you guys like to look at the stock, and you like to know what's may or may not happen or what's on the horizon. So I don't think it's a waste of my breath to talk about this stuff, but I I do see some potential issues. Not issues. Sorry, I'm just guys. I just landed from Boston, so I'm
Oh,
a little
okay.
tired. Uh, it's not issue. Let's say rough, rougher weather brewing ahead for Tesla potentially. It may clear out and everything be fine, but I'll tell you some things just to look out
Okay.
for. We got deliveries that come out January 2nd.
I was going to
That could be
ask you
really
about that.
good. It could be
Yeah.
really good, but it's
So,
a risk
so
that we
what,
have on the table.
where does it have to be? Where does it have to be enough to cause problems? We're at 445 on the street. We've got Troy Testlake at 414, I think.
Oof. Okay. Yeah, I think anything like that would not be good. I
Okay.
think essentially they have to match what they did in Q3. I think
Oh, wow.
anything,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think anything much more below that, and when I say like match, I would say within 10,000
That ain't gonna
plus
happen.
or minus.
That ain't gonna happen.
Well, okay. Well, then I think the stock will react to that,
Okay.
and
Okay.
if for no other reason, because the headlines will react to that.
Okay.
And even though we see GM and Ford writing down billions, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and canceling models, Tesla headlines will go out saying, "Well, Tesla on what's supposed to be the most profitable quarter with the highest demand. They have their weakest Q4 ever, following the Q3. There'll be some crap like that,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
that's a risk that's out there. And then you've got earnings. Earnings also have a risk, not so much because the numbers and margins and all of that, because I think if anything has proven out over the last few 2 years, everyone's pretty much looking past the numbers at this point. As long as they're somewhat decent, no big deal. But as we get more and more into 2026, the ZEV credits are likely to come down, and that really helps cushion things for Tesla. So we're going to kind of get into this new world. So again, and then it's also the start of the year. A lot of times there is profit taking to start the year, and why a lot of people think of profit taking at the end of the year,
Yeah. Yeah.
but a lot of times people also take profits to start the year just to go ahead and get that out of the way. Because if you think like this is how I would think about it. If you're expecting or if you don't want to pay your long-term capital gains tax in 2025 and you
Mhm.
want to have a whole year plus to get
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
tax money, or you just want to defer it, you'd wait till January
Sure. Sure.
to sell. And a lot of hedge funds, whoever, might sell then, so that when Tesla pulls back, because as you reach all-time highs and as you get higher and higher, it's inevitable that things come back down in order to go back up. And so they might do that in order to get kind of repositioned, especially if they do think Tesla's going to go higher. It makes more sense. Let's go ahead and take our tax hit now, and we'll play this same game. Like if you thought Tesla's going to 800, right? You take your capital gains tax now in January.
Mhm.
You have that tax bill that you have to pay, but you won't have to pay that until uh, April of 2027. Right? Well,
Mhm.
really, it would be the end of the year, but just play with me. April of 2027. And then if you think that Tesla's going to go up, you'd wait for a good pullback,
Mhm. Mhm.
buy Tesla again,
Mhm.
ride that whole wave up, and then sell again if you're going to sell January 2027, because then you don't have to deal with that tax bill until April of 2028, right? So you kind of you defer. So I think there's a lot of hedge funds and managers and family offices that do a lot of that. So you throw that in there, and then I would say the only other thing is the markets may not be great to start the year. I've been talking about this for a while. We've had essentially 3 years kind of back to back with essentially 20 plus gains in the market. You see all kinds of narratives out there, Andy. People say, oh, this isn't unusual. It is unusual. We're due for a pullback, whatever. I don't know what's true or not. But I know is 3 years, 20% back to back. It's kind of like I just flip heads 3 times. I could see it being a little softer, maybe, but there's a lot of reason to be bullish. And so my real take on 2026 to start is that, well, the last several years the market has not started off the year that great. Even this year, if you look at it for Tesla, from literally from today, or no, maybe the 18th, 2020, December 18th, 2024, from that day
Mhm.
all the way essentially till Liberation Day,
Mhm. Mhm.
Tesla stock just declined.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and you've seen that this pattern. So it's just Q1's just a slower month. So I could just see a pullback there before we continue to go higher. So, anyways, that's why I say on the day to day,
Mhm.
I think we keep running up a little more
Mhm. Mhm.
before we might see a fade. But I think structurally over the next several weeks, or in other words, the next several months, I think there's still a lot of strength in Tesla to continue grinding higher, especially as Tesla themselves fundamentally do better and they start to roll out more about robo taxis, and that narrative becomes reality. So, there's a lot of moving parts there, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about it, and just trying to keep myself honest and humble day to day, and really try to not overreact or underreact.
Right, right. So why do you think that the market or that Tesla went up today? The market certainly didn't. Why do you think that it didn't go up? Why wasn't it yesterday that it went to all-time highs? The day after the announcement of actual full-on driverless cars tooting around in Austin.
I think there's a couple things. I think one, there's a you know, I post about this on X. I think as Tesla investors, we have asymmetric news or information. Sorry, Boston again. We have asymmetric information in that we have FSD and we experience it. We have our community, and we're all staying up to date with everything. And I think a lot of times it takes time for that news to get out to people, and it's kind of in waves. There are some people that follow all of our channels very closely, and they knew the second it happened. There's
Right.
other people that it took 2 degrees separation before they found out, and maybe that was by midday yesterday. And there's others who, we had the meeting on the calendar to talk about this and why we should get into Tesla, and that meeting didn't happen until today. And it's like, okay, and then there's also just understanding that if you are, let's call them whales. If you're a whale trying to get into Tesla stock, you're not going to buy everything in one day. You're
Mhm.
gonna, tranche it out and space it out. And yeah, so there's all kinds of reasons. I don't know what the volume was today. Again, I've been,
Yeah.
with family, so I haven't been following it too closely. And today I was on flights all day, but volume might have been lighter too. That has a big effect. So there's all kinds of reasons, but I don't care too much about the minutia on why it happened. It did
Mhm.
happen. That's all that really matters. And it. Who cares if it happened yesterday or today? I think there's the point is we know what triggered this, and that was the first signs of seeing two Model Ys without
Right.
any humans testing in Austin. And again, I'll say this again: the beauty of this is that that was them testing, and it had this kind of reaction. What do you do with that information? Well, if you're more active the way I am, you really have to think through it and analyze, is this move front running them actually launching it? And so are we pricing all that in now?
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe. Is it pricing it in maybe 25%, but not 75% of the
Right.
move?
Right. Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Don't know. So that's why you gotta, that's why I like keeping my finger on the pulse and actually seeing what's going on. And I think I do think there's a good chance that that whole announcement is starting to be priced in because Elon said something was going to happen. We see signs of what he was talking about, so I could see this all starting to price it in, so that once it actually happens, yeah, I'm sure the stock will move up, but maybe not as much as it did during these past few days, or none
Yeah.
of it's
Or
priced in,
not.
and we like who knows.
Yeah, I've heard, I haven't looked at it for quite a long time, but I know 3 or 4 months ago I saw, some reporting that the institutions are still not heavily into Tesla. I mean, some are obviously, so some definitely like Tesla, but that overall we don't have the kind of institutional percentages that you might expect of a stock. I mean, compared to the other high flyers or whatever else. So at some point, do we have was that the chat GDP? Do we have to have, like you said, turn it loose in Austin to where all 20, 50, 60, 100, whatever it is, cars are now getting fares and they're all driving without drivers? Does it take San Francisco opening up? I mean, is there going to be a day? Is there going to be a day, almost kind of like the day where whether it's the end of this year or whether it's sometime in January, where the institutions finally go, "Shh, I guess I better get on this."
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think there is a ChatGPT moment for Tesla or FSD. I think Tesla is going to have its Tesla robotaxi moment, and it looks different than ChatGPT. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I've said this with you before because I don't know why I wouldn't have. I've thought about this for a while. I think Tesla's just gonna be a slow grind. It's just gonna be incremental, and it's gonna be like compound interest. Oh yeah, I've definitely said this to you. It's like compound interest, where at first, you had version 8 FFSD or version 9 FFSD, then 10, 10 dot whatever, then 10 dot whatever, then 11, 11 dot something, and then 12 was like, whoa, okay. It's like, hey, we made our first $100,000. It's a pretty big deal. And then, iterate 13, 14. And now it's like, oh, Robotaxi launch. Okay, well, it's like, hey, we made our million. Like this compounding is starting to be something really great. And then next you get Robotaxis. So I think it's just like one of those things that it's just this slow grind
Mhm.
of compounding effects that eventually look exponential. Rather, instead of like a ChatGPT moment where it was just straight to the moon, and that it was, straight to the moon and logarithmic across. So that's what I think, and it's just because of the nature of the business, nature of the friction to use,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
and the nature of having to scale and go city by city and validate and build up the infrastructure and the teams, and it's never going to have a chat GPT moment in that sense.
There are very, very few companies in the world. I didn't look this up. I should have. I do have a couple of other pretty interesting stats in a minute, but there are very few companies in the world that do 40 billion, I'm sorry, do $20 billion a year. Tesla is going to roll out just the semi truck, which will just be a tiny division that's going to do $20 billion a year, if not, if probably within by the end of 2027, or even within 2027, we'll be on a run rate of $20 billion a year. And nobody's going to pay attention, right?
Yeah, semi energy. These are not the things that investors care about really for Tesla, or well, investors, media, et cetera. They don't really care. I mean, when was the last time you heard anyone on an earnings call ask anything about energy
Yeah, 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 yeah.
or semi? I can't even. Maybe they asked a question about margins once.
Right,
Like,
right,
I,
right.
I don't know. It's just not the sexy topics.
All right. And then a non-sexy topic that I almost forgot to bring up to you because I knew I wanted to is there was an announcement today that Berlin is going to start making 4680s
Hmm.
and with an initial goal of 8 gigawatts.
Long overdue.
Long
Yeah.
overdue.
Well, if you recall, when the IRA happened, they ripped out the 4680 equipment
Right,
from there to bring over to Texas.
right.
So,
Yeah, yeah. So, but this would indicate maybe that they've got it solved in Texas.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we know. Well, at least with some of the patents I've released, I think you can see that they've made really good strides. It would be interesting to know, like, I mean, I know Tesla doesn't want to at this point, but to know where are the 4680s going right now?
They're
Like,
go
what vehicles take them?
Cybertruck, um, uh, definitely the semi truck, and then I think it's going to be the no,
Well,
Cybercab.
what we know, this is what we already know.
Yeah,
We know that the Cybertruck has its own special 4680, and then we know that the Model Y is in Texas rolling
yeah,
off of 4680s.
right.
But that's all stuff we've known. We don't know anything else. So that information is a year and a half stale.
Well, no, he
So,
said it's going in a semi.
oh, and the semi, yeah.
Right,
But
but
what I'm saying, like, we've known
that's
this.
a lot of batteries.
But we've known all this. So like all
Okay,
that information is stale. We don't
okay,
know like what's the progress of just using 4680.
uh-huh, right.
Or, eating away at the other battery sets? Or are we starting to use 4680s potentially in mega packs? Or is there a plan for that? I don't know. I just think it'll never be brought up on earnings call. We probably won't hear anything about it for a
Yeah,
long,
right,
long
right,
time.
right.
But it is something I think would be interesting. But again, not a sexy topic.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. So to your point earlier, I kind of think that profits are going to surprise on the upside at the quarter four earnings call. There has not been any deals, so even if the numbers are down, the margins are going to be up, almost 100% guaranteed because there just hasn't been any deals. You got the Model Y Long
You mean like discounts or
discounts
incentives?
and yeah, and
Gotcha.
specials. Yeah,
When you
nothing.
said deals, I thought you meant
Yeah,
like
yeah.
with another OEM.
Right, right. So they got that, and then the Model Y Long in China has taken like 27% share of what's being shipped out of China, and that's going to be at a higher price point and probably higher profit margin.
Mm.
So we could have kind of a surprise even on the auto profits, but then you've got energy, which is almost certainly going to deploy way more than we're expecting, and that means a nice profit boost there. So it seems like we could have a pretty decent profit for the fourth quarter.
Yeah, potentially, but it'll probably be masked by a miss on deliveries. Is how it'll be characterized. Which again, like who cares? Like I've been
Yeah, right,
what,
right.
two
Yeah,
years now. I've been saying this that who
nobody
cares?
cared.
Ever since 12 came out and I experienced 12, it's like
Yeah,
the the deliveries are irrelevant now. Like
right.
that whole side of the business, who cares? As
Mhm.
long as it's still working, as long as it's still profitable, as long as it's still incrementally growing, great. Who cares about it after that? Like I don't care about the margins really. Again, as long as status quo remains,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like if the margins went down to negative, okay, well I care,
Yeah,
right? But right now, all right, all that business is working, energy business is working,
yeah,
great. I don't
yeah.
care about that. FSD, robo taxis, that's what I care about. And then once that gets going, okay, Optimus. So that's how I kind of silo and bucket them.
So Elon says that the number one catalyst for the first half of the year will be unsupervised. And
He said
so,
that recently? Did he actually say that?
yeah, he said that there'll be two catalysts. There's only two catalysts that matter, unsupervised and the Optimus ramp.
Okay.
So he
Gotcha.
didn't say when Optimus is shown or when we have a reveal or when
But
they
this
start
wasn't
selling.
something he said like in the last like 24 hours or
No, the
48.
last, I would say 3 weeks.
Okay, okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I didn't miss something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, in other words, he didn't say it this way, but basically he was saying, it's not going to be this big catalyst when we start selling to third parties. It's not going to be a big catalyst when we show have a reveal on Optimus, but the big catalyst will be when we actually start ramping production. I don't know why he chose that, but that's how he feels. And the other one he said was unsupervised, which I agree with 1,000%. I think that and now it may take a week, it may take 2 weeks, but at some point there's going to be so many videos about people driving in the back seat, having their dog drive. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, but and again, just people probably hear you say that and they're like, "Oh, what are you talking about, Nick? There will be a ChatGPT moment." The problem is there won't be because that will be in Austin, and the only people who care about it are people in Austin. Whereas with ChatGPT, immediately everybody could experience it. So
I'm talking about unsupervised driving for all of us, or for it may be released in regions, but it's going
oh,
to be
I I would wager that that's going to take longer.
really okay. All right, because he said by the end of the year.
I
Well, it's not going to happen by the end of the year. But if we put it forward another month or two,
I would put a bet that in the next 2 months, you and I will not be able to drive our vehicles unsupervised.
okay. All right. Yeah, now that's a little bit different because again, he did say it would be released by region. So you and I, Southern California and Florida might not be
So these are
the
the two
regions.
places where outside of Austin you would expect it to happen.
We would
So
certainly hope so, yes.
I don't think I'm saying anything too crazy here. If you were to tell me people in the Austin area, okay, I could maybe believe that. But again, I think their focus is going to be on robotaxis. I don't think their focus is on letting Randy and Nick drive their cars unsupervised. And it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. Their focus should be on scaling robotaxi, getting that out there, scaling the command centers, different places, and trying to grow that as fast as you can. Look, would I like it? Of course I would. But it's not me being able to enjoy driving without touching the wheel or paying attention or taking a nap is not going to have as meaningful impact on the stock or on the company's P&L as robotaxi will. not saying it wouldn't have an
Right,
impact because
right,
everyone
right.
could say like, oh, so many more people buy FSD. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so many more people would buy Teslas.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, great. But you're missing the point.
Yeah.
You want to scale robo taxis so you can have essentially the monopoly before anything else. You want to squeeze out Waymo, and you want to get you skip the whole part of trying to get more people to buy Teslas and get to the point where people decide, why am I going to buy a car?
Right. In the first place. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So you want to get to that.
Okay. So on that subject, I've been asking all of the co-hosts, will Tesla ramp their ride-hailing service with market prices so that they have the benefit, obviously the Model 3, Model Ys as ride-hail products are going to be way better looking, way more beautiful inside and out than Waymo or most Ubers. You're going to be riding in the front seat if you choose to, probably. And then we're going to have the cyber cabs rolling out. Those are going to be better than anything else for a ride hailing, where you and your partner can sit in the front seat for sure. So and you got no driver. We already know that not having a driver is a plus, that people prefer that, willing to pay more for it. So will Tesla go out at market rates or something close to market rates, maybe a little under market rates, so they can maximize profits? Or some co-hosts think that they're going to go out at a dollar from day one.
Um, I think it'll just be a supply demand dynamic.
Okay.
I mean, they might start the same way they did with the initial launch. They might have like, hey, it's like, let's just get people trying this.
Mhm.
Let's get people in there. Let's get butts in seats. And then, hey, Randy, your first month of using Tesla Road Taxi, it's $1 a mile.
Mhm. Mhm.
After that, it goes to normal kind of, supply demand pricing. And that also informs them. And you want to have that because that helps them, inform them, one, what the rate should be, but two, how many vehicles should they be adding or not adding. And I think, have to have that because, it, at $1 a mile, I think you're less likely to have other people want to put their vehicles in,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So like you also have that dynamic, especially if Uber Center making, you know, or charging $2 to $3, $4 a mile.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, again, if they did that at $1 a mile out the gate, I think that'd be like a promotion,
Mhm.
which I think, if someone looks back and says, "Oh, see, I told you, Nick," I'd be like, "Okay, that's disingenuous. That's a promotion. That's not a lasting thing." But I think they'll have very similar pricing model to what Uber has, but I'm not saying it'll be the same price as Uber. I think if anything, they'll make sure that they're always undercutting Uber
Okay.
by,
Mhm.
10, 15%.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Because if you did that, like that's it. Like like why would you ever use an Uber?
Going back to unsupervised for a minute, we now have Grock integration. Do you think that we need more Grock integration before they let us drive unsupervised, or do you think that that's enough?
Why do you think Grock has any any you why would Grok matter in the decision making when it comes to unsupervised?
So if I'm in a car that's unsupervised, like, okay, I was coming home from San Diego the other day, it was a little bit foggy. Had it on FSD. I was fine with it. It was handling the fog just fine. But all of a sudden, I couldn't see the lights in front of me, and I couldn't see there was no headlights coming toward me, and I got a little nervous about the speed that the car was going. If I got Grok and it's integrated, I can say, "Hey, could you slow down for a minute because it's making me nervous driving this fast in the fog."
But what does that have to do with them allowing FSD unsupervised? That's just you being a
No, I'm
wuss.
talking about I'm talking
That
about at the point. No, I can be nervous now and I can turn it off.
yeah,
I have the control to disengage. But once it's unsupervised, I'm not going to be dealing with the steering wheel or the pedals or anything else anymore.
Yeah, so you shouldn't deal with the decision making either then.
Well, okay, so I'm in a hurry. Hey, Grock, I'm in a hurry. Can you
There's
speed me up?
profile settings.
Yeah, okay. So I want to change I want to change the profile. I want to go
You
from
can already do that. Just click on the
just
screen.
click it on your app or on the
Yeah.
screen.
You don't need Grok. There's no value to Grok, in my opinion, that would make or that would accelerate or slow down
I'm
FSD
having
on
a heart
certified.
attack. Could you pull over, please?
Well, what do you do in a normal car? And why would you pull over? You're having a heart attack. You should take you to the hospital. And by the way, there's
Okay,
cameras in there.
take me to the
There's
hospital.
already there's already
It's already
cameras
programmed
in
that way.
there
Yes.
that can monitor you. Yeah,
All
so
right,
it's already happening.
I'm gonna have to come up with a better list next time.
There you go. Look, Grok is a creature comfort. It's not a necessity.
Okay. All right.
It's a
Okay.
better user experience. It's not a necessity.
Okay.
It might
Um,
it might be a necessity for a really good robotaxi experience, but
uh-huh.
again,
Uh-huh.
we see unsupervised vehicles out there now. We
Right.
see robotaxis out there now, and guess what they don't have?
Yeah.
Grok.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting thing here. SpaceX is now the 15th largest company on Earth in terms of market cap.
Isn't that
Number
crazy?
15. And Tesla is now the seventh largest company on Earth in terms of market cap. And believe it or not, XI has no slouch. It is now number 66 if we're a publicly traded company. And it's number five among privately held corporations.
XAI is?
XAI is number five
Where
among
does
private.
SpaceX stand on that for private?
I'm sorry, number one.
Where SpaceX is number one?
Number one, yeah, by a lot. Yeah, they're 800 now. And I think
What's
OpenAI is
OpenAI?
like, I think OpenAI is like 600, 650,
Uh,
something like that. Yeah. So pretty wild that Elon now has, is the founder of three companies that even the least of them is number 66 if it were publicly traded right now.
yeah, it's
So
wild.
is this crazy or what? So
It is, especially once it goes public. It'll be. I think you and I talked about this. Maybe I talked about it with Herbert, but I think when SpaceX goes public, I think you'll see a dip in Tesla.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Um, do you think what do you think the odds are that SpaceX goes public next
I
year?
think it's
Are
going public. Yeah,
huh?
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Okay.
I think 100%.
Do they raise 30 billion like the press is saying, or do they have to raise like 100 billion?
I mean, that's up to them. I don't think it really matters.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I think they'll get whatever they want to get.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
So,
So it just
so,
depends on how much they want to give up or how they're gonna, you know, if they're gonna do any dilution, or it just depends on how they set it up. But what last I saw is they're shopping around for who's gonna help them take them public. I imagine it won't be just one firm. I imagine it'll probably be
mhm,
a couple
mhm.
firms. But that's gonna be I could that's a stock that I cannot wait to have the ability to trade options on it. I am. I'll tell you guys right now what I'm going to do. As soon as I think I'm not sure about. I'll have to look this up after this, but I think normally it's like 6 months after a company goes public that the option market is open for it.
Okay.
I might be wrong about that. I don't know why. 6 months is in my head for some
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
Um, and I've never bought options on a company that just went
Right.
public, so
Right.
that's why I don't know. But I'm buying leaps immediately. Immediately, I'm buying leaps
Immediately.
on it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Just
it's 2 years out. Immediately, I'm buying leaps on it. It just seems like such a no-brainer.
yeah. So what about the stock itself? You going to buy some shares?
Well, that's what the leaps are. I'll
I
exercise the leaps once.
Oh, I see. You'll
Yeah,
exercise. I see. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so now you've got Tesla stockholders, actually all the stockholders of all the other companies. Elon has said he wants to reward them for their uh, for being, loyal. Um, that
yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Oh, you don't think it's going to happen?
No,
Why not?
I don't think there's a mechanism to do it.
Oh, there's a mechanism they can give
Oh,
to
okay.
them. It's called friends and family or something like that. Yeah, friends and family. Anyway, it's you can
But I
do
think it's capped. I think there's a capped at a certain number.
it's about 20 to 30% of the offering, according to Grock.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So how are you gonna do that for all these?
Well, it would be
That's a big base.
you would offer it. You would send out a note, and everybody that wants it would have to indicate that they want some by a certain date.
Yeah.
You would have to own the stock on a certain date. Maybe
I
it's
also wonder, like, if they did that, yeah, sure, I'll jump in.
okay.
But I also wonder, like, how long of a holder you have to be. Do you have to be a holder since 2013?
I don't know that they have that option. I think they'll just choose a date like they normally do for something like that. And they'll say, if you're a holder as of October 15th or whatever, then because the optionality is going to pay the other shareholders anyway. If you have the option to get it, then that's got a value.
Yeah.
Folks, I want you also to stick around for tomorrow night's show when Brian Wang is on, because Brian is currently calculating what he thinks that option is worth right now. How much does it add to the value of the stock at this exact moment? So that'll be pretty interesting to get Brian's take, because I don't think many people, in fact, I think I was the first one to bring it up, and I don't think hardly anybody's thinking about the fact that that is now clearly worth something on Tesla stock.
I still don't think it's gonna happen.
Okay, you don't think there'll be a
Mm.
pre-IPO offer.
I mean, I'm still waiting for Elon to meet with Rob Maurer or Dave Lee or Dr. Know-It-All. Haven't seen that one happen. So,
Okay, all right.
if he can't even jump on a podcast with any Tesla YouTuber, but he, you know, will with all these other ones. I don't know.
All right. You talked a few minutes ago about how you think the first part of the or first half of the economic year coming up for the United States. So you got Tom Lee and Kathy Wood. They totally believe it's going to be really great. Most pundits seem to think it's great. The White House and the
Actually,
Fed.
Tom Lee doesn't think that.
No, he just thinks the stock market is going to be choppy. He didn't say the economy.
Oh, the econ. Okay, okay, fair
Yeah, not
economy.
the stock market, the economy. Um, the street clearly thinks that the first half of the year is going to be great if we assume that the street is predicting 6 months in advance. So with all these people, but my question is really specific to you. So because you are a contrarian, does this worry you when everybody thinks the first half of the year is going to be great?
I mean, again, I'm not trying to be a contrarian.
I know, no, it's an approach. Tom
Yeah,
Lee says exactly the same thing.
I I would say that the start of the year tends to be slow. One way or another, it tends to be slow. It is the start of the year. It's the first quarter, and normally you want to get all your bad news out to start, not as you get into the year. So I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. We will probably still. We don't actually know how the economy's doing. Is what I would say. We we think we do. We think we know, but we don't really know. And there's lots of moving balls happening right now. And some of them are market related. Some of them are purely economic related. Some of them are politically motivated or related. Um, but they all affect each other. And so, from a market perspective, I mean, the stock market, like I said, normally doesn't start off that great. And we've just had crazy 3 years, start of the year. Like it's normal to see the stock market kind of have a pullback, healthy. I mean, just look at today, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Tesla did good, but that doesn't mean the market did
right,
good.
right.
So some tech stocks did, but the market kind of pulled back, and it pulled back yesterday as well. Um, so that's the market side of it. But then if you look at the economy itself, and this is where it leads into politics a little bit, we have this tension right now where we don't actually know what's going on with jobs numbers, right? Like we need a clean one to actually know. And everything we got today was from the past. And so is that baked in? How do you think about that? And clearly the market's dismissing it. in many ways, because today wasn't really that bad of a
Right.
day. It got a little dicey. Yesterday was kind of dicey, but things sorted themselves out.
But by the way, just I think you know this, but maybe you don't. The numbers that are coming out in terms of the job numbers are totally in line with what I've been saying for 6 months. So I said 40,000 a month maximum. Some months might be negative. I think that's just about where we are.
Yeah, and I told you last time that I think that going into 2026, we're going to start to see a recovery on the jobs.
Mhm.
Uh, which again, like that's probably a contrarian thought there, but I do think that we start to see recovery, but we still have uncertainty there. We don't know what's going to happen there, and there's going to be a lot of people who are reticent to do anything. Then we still have these debt issues
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
spending issues and tariff drama that's still going on. And how does all that unfold? And we know that the Fed's not going to be doing much because they're going to be essentially in a lame duck session over the first 5 to 6 months
All right.
of the
So
year.
stop there again. What is your projection? We've got these low unemployment numbers today. Nobody's saying that the job market is robust. It seems to be soft. If the CPI comes in okay on Thursday, not, doesn't have to be cold, but if it comes in the same range that it's been, does the Fed cut in January?
Well, it's a
Because
catch twenty
you're
two.
the Fed whisperer.
It's a catch 22 right now. I think the Fed's done cutting.
Okay.
They're done cutting under Jerome Powell. Is what I think.
So
Um,
June is the next opportunity.
that's what I think, and I think if we wait till June, I think, and as long as everything lines up, I think you can see like a 50 basis point cut if everything lines up. But it's kind of a catch 22 because now we have to sit here and you almost want to see more unemployment, which how gross is that? And you want to see a slowing down of the economy. How gross is that? And you hope that these CPI numbers start to go year over year, start to lap and look smaller to get closer to 2%. But we're hoping for contraction and layoffs and higher unemployment just to get rates down lower. It's disgusting. Like you don't want to be there. It's like bad news is good news. That's what happened today. That's what
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
today. Today was bad news is good news,
Good news. Yeah, yeah.
right? Because to your point, in hopes of more rate cuts. The market is predicting 2 more rate cuts next year,
Right.
but the Fed is saying one. No, what does that matter? Like the Fed's been wrong all along.
Right.
But in a sense, they also just did a they essentially did 2 rate cuts in December because they also are injecting more
Right.
liquidity
Right.
into the markets. And I'm sure most people listening, like you don't really need to know about this and how the repo markets work, but really that injection was because the repo markets were losing liquidity. They were getting
Right.
tight.
Right.
And so that is a really big problem. And so that injection was to help the repo markets. They're also lowering the cash requirements for banks, and as we get into tax season, which was kind of Jerome Powell's kind of cop out about that, was that people need to take their money out of the banks. And if the banks don't have access to the repo markets to maintain the cash on hand that
Right.
they have to have,
Right.
this becomes a really, really big problem. And what happens again, if you don't know what the repo market is, it's just short-term overnight loans
Mhm.
from very stable treasury notes that banks and others can get access to. Banks have a certain requirement to have a certain amount of capital on hand
Mhm.
while trades and everything gets settled. But what happens is if that repo market, if they lacks liquidity, which means there's so many people, there's so much demand that there's not enough supply.
Right.
Like what
Right.
happens with inflation? I mean,
Right.
prices go up. Well, if that repo market gets tight because there's so much demand, well, that means the interest rates on those go high and it just becomes this cascading problem.
Right.
So that is why Jerome Powell injected and is going to inject, I don't know, like 150 billion
Mhm.
over the next few
Mhm.
months into the repo markets.
Mhm.
So I don't know. So there's a lot of moving sticks there, and that's a kind of a way for Jerome Powell to give some ease without doing any more rate cuts, I think. Uh, but I don't know. I don't know. My gut right now is that Jerome Powell's can do everything he can not to do another rate cut because what he and I kind of get it. What he doesn't want is to hand off a bad economy to the next person. He wants to be able to
Or an
leave.
inflating economy. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to be able to leave saying, "Hey, look, inflation is still heading down towards 2%, even if we're not there. Stock market's at an all-time high. Here you go.
Yeah, right.
Balls in your court. I didn't screw it up. I gave you this. I gave you essentially silver platter, or this on a silver platter." So that's kind of what I think, but we'll see. I mean, the it changes day by day, and the tariff decision, which I think is slated to come out the end of December, is kind of what people are thinking, or
Oh,
that's what the whispers I'm hearing around.
see, I don't know where they get those whispers because there's no precedent for that. I mean, unless the court themselves have said so,
I believe
normally
the
normally they would come out with a decision like right away if they felt that it was urgent, or they would come out with the decision in May. I don't understand why they would come out with it in January. I mean, it makes no sense to me.
let me see. I'm looking it up now.
Okay.
But anyways,
Yeah.
the tariffs will be that could be very bullish for the markets. Actually,
I mean, if the
so
Supreme Court goes against the Trump administration,
yeah, yeah.
that was so
I think that
that'd be so
I think
dumb.
it'd be bullish for the markets.
I
I
think,
mean, I don't disagree with you. I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
telling you what I think would happen.
So what we have right now is we've got the deficit for the first 2 months of the new fiscal year down by 30%. We have got inflation, no matter how you dice it. Okay, even if you take the 3% number that everybody likes to bandy around, Jerome Powell has said 0.5% of that is tariffs. Therefore, we'd be at 2.5. If you take the 2.7 number, then we'd be at 2.2 if you subtract zero point 0.5. So I don't care how you slice it and dice it, there's no way that inflation is a problem right now. Now, the person on the street might think it's a problem because it's at 2.7 or 3, but the reality is that at some point in 2026 that rolls off because he's not going to increase the tariffs again next year. So that's a one-time price. So
Hmm.
you got the deficit coming down substantially. You've got the big beautiful bill coming into play in the first quarter, in particular with regard to people getting big checks back from the government because of Social Security, because of tips, because of overtime, et cetera. And you got employer. I mean, you have corporations getting big refunds and also getting to reset their quarterlies because their taxes went down. Uh, you got all of this infrastructure money that's been going in, and we know some of it's actually, going into, you know, uh, moving dirt right now because we know the companies that are actually building things. So it seems like we're set up for a very good start for the year. And now it might not be January, but maybe it's February, March, it really starts to kick into gear.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think all that is definitely true and possible. It's just when, and the market's its own beast, and has all that been priced in? Is that all being priced in now? By the way, I looked up.
Okay.
So apparently, because of the nature of how they expedited it and how fast they moved on everything, Goldman Sachs is predicting a early opinion to be released either end of December or early January.
Wow.
Apparently, Besson also said that he believes that that's the
Oh,
timeline
okay.
for it. So,
All right. Interesting. That's wild. I'm glad you were on tonight because I needed to know that.
yeah, but again, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of moving parts right now, but yeah,
I
take it.
would, by the way, just for the folks that are listening right now, maybe I don't think I'm going to be teaching you anything on this, but I don't think the Supreme Court will throw out the tariffs altogether. I think they may put some caps on it, or they may do some kinds of you can do this, but you can't do that. I don't think they throw the whole thing out. And B, to the extent that they throw out anything that the Trump administration cares about, I think that Bessent and Lednick and everybody else have already got the lawyers lined up to use other parts, other congressional acts in order to keep these in place. So I don't think it'll have a huge impact on the economy, at least not immediately, because I think that there will be workarounds. So will there be another court case 6 months from now that, decides something else? I don't know, but at least initially, I'm not expecting it to have a big impact.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard a good rebuttal for, like, I understand that tariffs are supposed to function through Congress.
Right.
And I get that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Mhm.
But what I haven't heard a good rebuttal to is if the IEPA, powers that gives the president for emergency economic, I don't know, sanctions,
Mhm.
rulings, decisions. Sure, it doesn't talk about tariffs in there, but it allows a president to embargo trade with a nation.
Right.
Like, that's clear. That's
Right.
very, very clear within the IEPA rules that a president can embargo.
Right.
And so what is an embargo if not the ultimate tariff?
Right. Right.
Right? So if I can sit there and say, like, what's the difference between me embargoing trade with China
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
me putting a 2,000,000% tariff on
Right.
China?
Right. Right. Right.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're telling me that I can't put a lesser embargo? Like, that's where I kind of get hung up. And that's where I think they might actually win but then the question becomes, okay, are you using emergency powers in the right way? And I would argue the fentanyl crisis is real,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So that could take care of China and
Right.
Canada, Mexico to deal with that. And then you could also say that, okay, these are IEPA is literally about economic powers that president has.
Mhm.
And if we have unfair trade practices, or if the United States is being taken advantage of, and that we only just now realize we're being taken advantage of, that's an economic issue, an economic war or situation. Like, I don't understand how. I haven't heard a defense
Yeah.
against that, and I think
The-
it's
yeah.
in my mind it's pretty airtight.
So the other part that you're leaving out on the economic side is on the second part of your argument is that most of what the president is doing is strategic. So now you're starting to talk about military, starting to talk about provide being
Yeah,
able
it's a good
to
point.
being able to manage your economy, even if you go to war with that country.
Well,
Um, you want to have your strategic stuff, even pharmaceuticals. I think that's the biggest argument I would make if I was doing before the Supreme Court. I say, yeah, we're moving for pharmaceuticals on to the United States because we don't want China to be able to say, "Oh, sorry, no more pharmaceuticals."
yeah, but even to that point, from a commander in chief, lens, like, are you is the argument that a commander in chief can only exercise their power as the commander in chief through vessels, bullets, missiles, or are they not allowed to use
Economic, yeah,
peaceful
yeah,
economic
yeah,
measures
heck yeah,
to reduce
yeah,
death?
yeah,
Like, and to get people at negotiating tables to prevent needless death.
right.
Like, that's really hard to, like, I don't understand why that wouldn't be under the purview of a commander in chief. Again, maybe not in perpetuity. Like, I get that. At the end of the day, Congress has to sign into law tariffs, but I don't know. I think there's definitely something there now, and that's something that the Supreme Court could come back saying there's a ticking time clock on this.
Right.
You know,
Or
and
or not more than this are not in this circumstance. So
Yeah.
I can't see the strategic value of this one. I can't see the fentanyl value. I can't see anything except you trying to uh, onshore some manufactured goods or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All
And
right.
just like that, by the way, because
Yeah.
we were talking, Tesla just went green.
Oh, in the after hours.
Hmm.
Oh, well, that's where we are anyway. It's time to talk about that. So where is it now?
$490 and 24
Change.
cents, 10
Okay.
cents,
All
19
right.
cents,
Okay.
24 cents, 27 cents.
All right. So the high today was 491 and change, I think. So we'll see if it can get back there. So my bonds came back down to under whoop, 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 just back up 0.2%, 415.1.
I'm still waiting for that three handle that you
You're
promised
waiting
me.
for the three handle. Yeah, but I said they wouldn't go over 415 too. And it went over 415 now for like 6 days or something. So I'm really waiting for it to get back under
We're going
415.
the wrong way, Randy. We're going the wrong way.
Your oil patch,
Oh,
you're our oil expert.
I almost posted about that
55,
today. Yeah.
55.20 today, 55.78 in the pre-market. So they're saying that there's so much oil. I mean, every single country that makes oil is making more than they've ever made before.
Yeah.
And
That's
nobody's
not
slowing
good.
down.
I mean, it's good, but it's
Yeah,
not good for them.
right. And
Yeah.
OPEC maybe I told you this last week. OPEC has specifically said we think the US economy is going to be gangbusters in the first quarter. So we're just
Yeah.
stockpiling, getting ready to do that.
Yeah. That's I think that's just clever
Is that
chess
is that
playing.
is that just
Well,
excuse making?
like if just think about it. Hey, we're OPEC. Trump, we agree with you. US is going to be crazy. We have to pump now. We have to get rigs online now. We have to do this because you're going to be crazy, right? Don't you agree? What's Trump going to say? No,
Yeah,
stop.
no, no, he loves it. He loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Natural gas up to finally. It's been falling like a rock for the last 10 days, but under $4 again. So I'm breathing. I'm breathing a lot easier now. Okay, here's gold and silver. Gold 43.42. So I'm still okay on that one. It has not gone over 4,400. Silver, my brother has been in silver all year, it turns out. Had a conversation with him over the weekend, and he's been in silver this year. And I'm like, whoa, dude. Actually, he's been in gold also. So he's done extremely well. Do you think you're using again the same? And I use it, by the way. I use exactly what you're talking about. When something gets out too far over its skis, I'm like, okay, some way that this is not going to just keep going. So what do you think about gold and silver at this point?
Honestly, I haven't been following gold that
Okay.
much
All right.
to have a real pulse on it. But, you know, I think maybe it's good to transition to Bitcoin because I think there's kind of a similar story there. Um,
Well, it's the opposite story because gold and silver have just gone completely nuts. They've
no,
gone, yeah,
fair.
yeah, yeah.
But it's yeah. I think what you're seeing is there's a lot of risk off coming into the market. Obviously, we see Tesla hitting all-time highs, so maybe it doesn't feel that way. But
Right,
I think
right.
you're seeing risk come off in the market. I mean, just look at Nvidia, right? Like Nvidia's sitting at 170s when it was at in the 200s,
Yeah,
210
yeah,
or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Um, Palantir was also in the 200s, and it's been sitting around 187. Meta, again, Meta had a good couple of days, but still, its all time high was like 750, and it's down 657.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Tesla's having its moment right now, but there's a lot of risk coming off, I would say, and I think that what does that mean when risk comes off? It means, things like gold or assets like gold go
Right,
up.
right.
And Bitcoin is the ultimate, um, I don't know, what's the word? A bellwether for de-risking, right?
Except
And
it's
we,
at except it's at 87,568.
we mean accept.
So
You
nobody's
say that
buying
like,
Bitcoin. Nobody's buying Bitcoin right now.
but that's my
Everybody's
point. People are de-risking.
oh, they're de-risking from Bitcoin. I gotcha.
They're
Okay. As
de-risking
opposed to
in
a
general.
storehouse, as opposed to a storehouse of value, you're looking at as a risk asset.
Oh, I don't see
Bitcoin as a storehouse of value.
okay,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't I think it's clear that Bitcoin isn't trading as a store of value.
Okay. It's trading like a Mag
I'm not
7
saying
or
it's not.
something.
Everyone can think it is or isn't or whatever. It's
Yeah.
not. I'm not here to play
Right.
those debates.
Right.
What I'm here to say is that it's very clear that it has not been trading that way for the last year,
Right.
right? So
Right.
when the risky stocks sell off, Bitcoin tends to foreshadow
Right.
that sell
Right.
off happening
Right.
before it does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When gold goes up, you don't necessarily see Bitcoin going up, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
actually working in inverse. So Bitcoin, at least for last year, has been moving more like the Mag 7 companies
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
than it has been moving like gold.
Gold. Right. 100%.
So that's what I'm saying. Bitcoin is a precursor for risk off.
Got
And
it.
I think we're seeing
Mhm.
risk off now, which honestly, that's, if you're going to throw in a little bear sentiment on Tesla, I mean, again, we're sitting here at all time highs. So it's hard to have a bear sentiment. But how long would this last? Will we pull back a little bit? Yeah, we might, because just look at everything else. You know, Tesla's having its moment right now, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to pull back a little bit, which it would be normal for it to. We've ran a lot in the past, you know, couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. You could certainly maybe expect a pullback unless there was
yeah,
more news.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
But
not
and again, that pullback may not happen till we hit
500.
500,
Yeah.
520. Like I don't know. I'm just saying, like it should be expected that
Right.
at some point, if the rest of the market continues to like just pitter patter here,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Tesla will meet back with the market. And it's not like Tesla's making these moves because, oh my God, their earnings are just crazy.
Right. 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 Right.
Even
Exactly.
Nvidia has crazy earnings. They're talking about they have endless supply. They
Right.
just got approval for China again,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's
they
not.
barely budged.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like it's right now, Tesla is moving on. It's running on gas. It's on
Yeah.
fumes
Yeah.
of good news, and it's long awaited good news that really I think the stock needed
Mhm.
to see this news so that people wouldn't, just be like, oh, it's running on fumes and it's all hot air. It's like,
Right.
no, no, no. There's high quality fumes that we
Well,
can distill down into real fuel.
all right. So my thesis for the entire time I've had this program on YouTube has been that the all-time highs, the 310, the 410, the 488, and now the 488 again, have all been related to robotaxi. They have all been related to the idea that we would be able to turn our cars into money machines. They've all been related to the idea that Tesla would make billions. That every time we hit those all-time highs, that was kind of the real reason behind it. And that's why I've been saying since June, when I thought we were going to have real robo taxis, that we'd hit all-time high in June. And then as we went over the next couple of months, of course, I had to rethink what was going on. So I said, hey, listen, when the driver comes out, that will be when we have a real robotaxi system. And so that's what's happened. We've now got back to all-time highs. If I use that thesis and if I'm consistent, that should now be the base. That should now be, the not to say it could never go down again, just that would
You're
be
saying
the
480 is the base, or you're saying the
four,
previous all time high is the base?
480, 488. I don't care which one you pick.
It's not the base.
Okay, I'm just saying it would be the base. I'm not saying that that means you can never go down. I'm saying that 480 would now be the point at which it's pivoting around. So 480 up, yes, of course, sometimes you take but it's now becomes instead of the high, instead of the ceiling, it now becomes the pivot because the
Um,
robotaxi thing is done.
I'd say I'd say no. I think it's probably more like around 460s.
460 would be the pivot. Well, we're not that far off compared to. Okay, so you
Well,
think 460 is the pivot. I think 480 is the pivot. All right, that's cool. I'm good.
I'm understanding what you're saying. I'm
I'm
not sure.
saying I'm saying that we've been in a situation where maybe 400 has been the pivot, maybe 380, 370, three probably more like 380 has been the pivot. We go below 380 by 100, we go above 380, but that was kind of the pivot. Now the pivot has moved because robotaxi is actually a thing, and so the pivot moves up. Whether you might think it's 360, I might think it's 380, but I'm not going to argue over 20 points. That now we have a much higher pivot.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. It's definitely higher. But I also wouldn't be shocked to see us go back down to the 460s.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
no,
think that'd be a very stable base for Tesla to bounce around.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, just look, these moments, like we need to enjoy these moments when they happen, and so hopefully everyone's enjoying it. But at the same time, these moments never last that long.
right.
I think we've all experienced that. Like these
Sure,
all-time highs never last that
sure.
long,
Yeah,
and we end up seeing things come back down, and then you know people get burnt because people are buying leaps at all-time highs and all this stuff happening.
right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's constructive. The everything looks good. Like I said, I still think Tesla can run at least for a few more days here. I
Mhm,
think. I
mhm.
mean, maybe into next week it can keep going higher. Um, before I think that you start to see a little either consolidation or a little bit give back. But again, from a weekly perspective, like over the next
Mhm,
several weeks, like
mhm.
things are weeks and months, things are set up very, very bullishly right now.
Okay. All right. The last thing that on the list here is the equities, and they are all slightly down. Uh, Dow is down 0.14, S&P also down 0.14, and the Nasdaq down 0.23. So not very much down. Um, so not a lot of additional pressure. Right now, I think people will be interested. There's no economic news tomorrow except for three Fed speeches, which can always be fun. But then we got the CPI on Thursday, so people might be kind of, pulling back again until they see what happens with the CPI.
I agree.
All right then, Nick.
CPI will be everything.
Yeah.
That'll tell us a lot.
So, Nicholas Gibbs, as always, we appreciate you coming on and helping us figure out things.
I appreciate being on. Thank you to everybody else and enjoy the ride while it's here because these things tend to fade. But right now,
It's fun.
congratulations to everybody.
That's
It's
right.
been fun doing this
Little
together.
toast.
Yeah.
And I still have to say, even after I say I'm going to toast you, I still have to say it's been great talking to you.